All right, listen, y'all see it. Y'all can see it right now. Okay, y'all can see it. We got the power duo back. Is that what we call ourselves? We were the impact gurus for certain other things that we did, but today, look, we got to preview this Ravens Chiefs game, and look, I'm telling y'all, with both teams, oddly enough, sitting at 1-2. I gotta ask a question. I'm gonna let y'all answer it down below as we get settled in here. Are we what our record says we are? Are we, right? Is the Chiefs, are they really 1-2? Are they that bad? Are they really below average? Are the Ravens really below average as a football team right now? We got to ask that question. We got to ask that question and much, much more right here on the preview, right here on the Be More Show, linking up with my guy from the Juggernaut Show right after this. Oh, okay. I mean, I know I was excited for the intro. I know I was, but look, I have to remember that the Ravens are 1-2. The Chiefs are 1-2. It is the battle for who will not be 1-3 after this week. And that would be a terrible start for either one of our teams. But look, y'all, welcome into the Be More Show, connecting with the Juggernaut Show,
aka For the Kingdom podcast.
Yes, look, For the Kingdom podcast, linking up with the Be More Show, the Be the Kingdom podcast. Look, I'm going with it. The Be the Kingdom podcast. Look, just saying. Be more of the Kingdom podcast. Okay, it's a little too long. But anyway, look, we gotta talk. We gotta talk about these Baltimore Ravens and these Kansas City Chiefs. Oddly enough, looking at 1-2 this early on to the season. And I want to start with that question because, and maybe it didn't make sense because I wasn't speaking English. I was speaking practically Spanish. But look, are the Chiefs actually 1-2? Like the old cliche is this: you are what your record says you are. And I want to ask the question for you, Justin: are the Chiefs actually a 1-2 team? Are they really that bad? They're really below average. That's what you would be right now this early into the season. And are the Ravens below average? Right? Are the Ravens showcasing that, hey, that maybe they're not nearly as good as they thought they were, or is it just too early to tell? But I gotta know, Justin. Feel free to introduce yourself if you want to. People know you already on this platform, but feel free to introduce yourself as well. And let's jump right into it.
Yeah, let's get right into this. Like, I mean, where do you want to start at? Like what happened last week? Your team gave up 38 points to the Lions. Lions. Like, well, what happened there? And also, my Chiefs, they haven't been looking that good either. Like, we beat a mediocre Giants team, which that game was. I mean, that first half, like, there was a lot that was going wrong in that game. I'm like, oh no, if we lose to the Giants here, I'm just waving the white flag. This season's over with for the Chiefs. If we lost to the Giants, but thank God we finally got our first win last week. I mean, we beat the Giants 22-9 last week, but yeah, I mean, where do you want to start it right here?
So for me, when I look at it, I feel like the Ravens, the Lions game, I felt like was just pure domination from the Lions' perspective. The rest of so this is the thing: the Ravens have had one game where they've been completely dominated. They've had one game where they completely dominated their opponent, and they've had another game where they dominated part of the game and they got dominated the second part of the game, right? So it's like, that's about average, right? That's inconsistency at its finest. Against the Bills, for the first 3 quarters of the game, I mean, the Ravens were dominant. They looked like exactly what everybody expected the Ravens to look like. The defense wasn't great, but they were doing enough, right? They were doing enough early on in that game. And then the defense just fell apart, right? The Lions game, the defense just fell apart. I know we can talk about being a little bit conservative in play calling when it comes to the Ravens and the Bills game, but honestly, it's the defense is the bigger problem. The defense,
your defense ranks 32 overall right now, which
the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, right? Like that's like, and like I always say, I always have the utmost confidence in the defense to figure it out, regardless of what the talent is, regardless of who the pass rushers are, regardless of any of that stuff. I have the confidence that the defense is going to figure it out because that's where the Ravens build their team in most occasions is on the defensive end. So eventually they'll figure it out. And I mean, I'm not saying I don't feel that way because I still do, but I will say I think this is the least amount of confidence I've had in a Ravens defense. Oh, especially over these past 2 years. Last year was a lot of the same. We remember the Bengals game where it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the Ravens couldn't stop anybody. And I'm feeling like this start of the season is more the same of what last year, of what the overall overarching issues were for last year. And it's kind of it's a problem because it's not, and I think you understand this, Justin, especially from your guys' Super Bowl wins throughout these 7 or 8 years and Super Bowl appearances. You don't have to have an elite defense. You need a complementary defense. 86 Go said it when I was hanging out with him during the last stream, and it's like complementary. You don't have to be elite on defense. You have to complement your offense just well enough to, force some turnovers. And I think like the Ravens are really struggling with that.
You bend, but you don't break,
exactly.
in a way. Yeah, complementary. Like you need to like have, like you need to, blend with your offense. You need to make them key plays to get, for your offense to make points, score points.
Yeah. Speaking of, shout out to 86 Ghosts hanging out with us. Look, I'm beyond frustrated, and I was on vacation last week, so I didn't get to film as much as I would have wanted to, but I mean, you talking about ruining a vacation from a football perspective. That's what the Ravens did. I mean, and that's the thing. It's just weak. Like it's odd. And I think it goes back to coaching because we've seen time and time again the Ravens not have the elite rushers in terms of first round picks, or have elite guys at middle linebacker, or have elite guys in the secondary. I mean, they've always been talented because that's always where they've stacked all of their money. But now it's like the talent's there, but the execution is not, and the miscommunication is there, and the scheme is a little bit. The scheme is odd because the scheme is like they're trying to be aggressive, but it's almost as if they're not talented enough to be aggressive. I mean, I'm very concerned up front, especially with Nnamdi Madubuike being hurt, especially last week when we talk about him being hurt against the Lions, and we saw exactly what Jamar Gibbs and we saw exactly what David Montgomery could do with that. There's no inside pressure. I expected a lot more from a lot of other guys, and I don't feel like I got that. And I think that kind of lends its hand. But back to the original question in terms of short answer, are the Ravens really 1-2? Yes. Do I think the Ravens will continue to have stretches of the season where they're 1-2? No. I think the Ravens didn't play their starters in the preseason like they had. They've been, for lack of a better term, cursed in the preseason. So I think they've decided not to play their starters, and I think that lends its hand to starting slow. But I think at the same time, another thing that gets me about the Ravens and kind of their start is their schedule is brutal. I don't think I realized how brutal the Ravens schedule was until I really started watching these games. I mean, you're talking about Detroit, you're talking about Buffalo. Of course, you got an in-division rival with the Browns. You got the rival that ain't your rival, but sometimes is your rival, and around your rival in the Chiefs, right? Like, like that stretch of games. I mean, you got playoff teams all over that first stretch of 4 games right there, right? And that's another one where it's like this schedule is brutal to start out, and you can't start slow, and they've already kind of started slow, and you've already squandered that Bills game, which would have been 2-year advantage, especially from a slow start. So I mean, a long story short, no, I don't think the Ravens are truly 1-2, but I think the Ravens are going to have to come back from this 1-2 deficit that they put themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about the Chiefs. I know, I feel like teams have been doing a good job of keeping Patrick Mahomes in the pocket and forcing him to kind of like not make his miraculous plays.
See, and also Patrick Mahomes, like you made a good key point about starting out slow, and see that's what my Chiefs have been doing, because usually like in these past few seasons, we haven't had that, like track star offense, like those fast wide receivers like we used to. So, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been able to, air the ball out, throw it, for, long down the field. You know what I mean? So that's really been hurting us. And also our offensive line really is, has kind of had some struggles. We've been having some injuries. So, Patrick Mahomes has been getting sacked. He hasn't had much time, in the pocket to, get the ball out. And also another key thing is why we're 1-2 is because Patrick Mahomes, he has to run the ball a lot. He's been in these past few games, he's been leading the rushing, which that's not good. When we have our quarterback leading our rushing there,
Yeah,
that's not good at all.
yeah. I think too. It's kind of there's kind of parallels there, right? Because I feel like sometimes the Ravens get into this. Let's just let Lamar Jackson do his magic, and that's it. Like that's the offensive scheme. All right,
Mm-hmm.
we'll just let it go, right? Because he can, right? And I feel like defenses, especially defensive lines, have been doing a good job of keeping him contained or not letting him break through. Right? Like I mean, they'll let him get to the line of scrimmage, but they're not going to let him break through. I mean that could also go back to offensive line talent for the Baltimore Ravens too. But yeah, I mean, I think when it comes down to it, the Ravens got to kind of reestablish their identity a little bit, and I can't even really blame the offense. Like I know I'm harping on the offense right at this moment, but I can't even really blame the offense. I mean, you can't give up the amount of points. I mean, like you said, the Ravens are 32nd in the league and that's probably on points alone, which honestly I don't even care about anything else, right? I don't even care about anything else. I mean, you're talking about a team that's giving up 41 in one game and giving up 38 in another, right? Like, the whole like cliche is like, hey, if your defense is good, 21 points or less, that's about where it needs to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're doubling you up in a lot of these occasions, it feels like, and it's like, or close to it, not quite doubling you up, but I mean, geez Louise, like, I mean, they're outscoring you by 3 scores in what is considered to be at least a comparable defense. Like, I just, I think there's a lot of frustration from my end, especially on especially when it comes to this defense, because that I feel like we continue to draft first round safeties, first round corners, first round pass rushers, and I haven't seen not one guy showcase that they're elite at that position. Right now, Kyle Hamilton is the only one. Now, I mean, I get it. We're still young with Nate Wiggins, and I think he's good. We're still young with Malachi Starks, and I think he's good. I still have a lot of confidence in Mike Green, but right now, right in this moment, I'm just not seeing it in terms of making those big plays to turn people over. And I think like it starts more so up front than it does in the second. I mean, I think the secondary has played pretty well for the most part. I mean, I know Jair hasn't played well in the game that we've seen him in, but I think that's kind of a big thing is I think the lack of pressure, right? I think not having Kyle Van Noy last week, I think is big. I think he continues to prove that he's the best rusher that the Ravens have, even though I wouldn't even call him a pure pass rusher, which is a problem within itself. But I'm not seeing it from Mike Green. He's getting manhandled by offensive linemen. I'm not seeing it. And then, like you said, you take Metabike out of that equation, and it's just as much depth as I praised EDC for creating on this team. I'm not seeing it in execution. It doesn't mean the talent's not there, but I don't see it in execution. And like you said, injuries have been an issue for the Ravens too. And it kind of becomes a very interesting conversation going into this game and the things you're going to have to stop, because no Nnamdi Metabike this week for the Baltimore Ravens, and no Patrick Ricard again for the Baltimore Ravens. And this is, Metabike has been out for the last, this will be his second week in a row. Ricard has been out for the entire season so far. Broderick Washington is hurt, so that's another depth piece for your line. You got a couple of guys questionable when it comes to Isaiah Likely, it comes to Travis Jones, Ronnie Stanley, and of course Kyle Van Noy. It's just the injuries are hurting too, and there's no like next man up mentality right now for the Ravens. I don't know. You feel free to hop back in, but I'm beyond frustrated with this defense right now and what they're giving up. I mean, if they were giving up yards, I wouldn't care, but they're giving up points, and it looks a lot like last year. And you had to bring in all kinds of resources in in the with clipboards and headsets on their heads to kind of help out this defense, and it's just not working. And I think something's got to change. Head's got to roll. So I don't know. Like something's got. Zach Orr's not it. It's just not working.
Yeah. See, opposite. The thing I'm most frustrated about with my team is more of the offense. It's like, like with our wide receivers, I mentioned about that. Which we'll be getting Xavier Worthy back this week, which will be very nice. That's going to be really crucial for us. And also, I want more production out of our running backs, like with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco and Brashard Smith. I need more production out of them. I'm not sure like where you guys rank at, with like stopping the run and with all that. So I'm not.
I mean, I don't know the ranking, but just from the eye test aspect of it, it's not good. Because I mean, we saw what Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery was able to do. And the turnovers don't help either, but I mean the turnovers don't make up for 40 points. The turnovers don't make up for 38 points.
Yeah.
So that's another one too, where it's like, the turnovers don't help offensively, specifically with Derrick Henry. I mean, he's fumbled in each of the first 3 games, and I think he fumbled, I don't know, twice all last season, and he fumbled like 3 times over the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons, I think I saw somewhere. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy. And I think like with Pacheco, I think, is he back yet? Is Pacheco back?
Yeah, Pacheco's back, but he's just like, he just really, these past couple seasons, he just hasn't really been looking like himself like when he first came in.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, because when I watched some like highlights of him, it's like there was one game where he ran right into the guard. Like, I don't know, he just doesn't have good vision down the field.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. I would like us to go pick up a better running back, maybe like Alvin Kamara. I mean, people might say Alvin Kamara might be a little washed, but hey, listen, I would love to get.
I think it would be. I think that would be good though, because, I think you can still let Kareem Hunt and even Pacheco run between the tackles, and then let Alvin Kamara be your receiving guy, because he's always been a really good receiver out of the backfield. That would be interesting to see what y'all do in terms of at running back, because I mean I feel like that's been a big injury concern for the entire league, has been the running backs so far, with Najee Harris and and not San Diego but LA, and it's just like, speaking of your division, that's kind of interesting too, like how that division's played out. I feel like Denver's been awful. I feel like the Chargers have been excellent, like really good. And then, of course, I feel like the Chiefs have underwhelmed early this season.
Yeah, exactly. And also, we're missing Rashid Rice. He'll be back in week 7. So, that'll be good when we get him back. Also, Travis Kelce, he hasn't been looking like he's looked like in past seasons. He's slower, and that crucial play in that Philadelphia game, if he would have caught that touchdown, we could be sitting at 2-1 right now, possibly. It could be a whole different story that we'll be talking about right now. Or we could have kept that game a lot closer. I mean, listen, we held the Philadelphia Eagles. We held them to it was 20-17. So hey, that's a W on our part. Like we held them under. I mean, that's not good that we lost, but it was still a pretty close game.
Yeah.
And also, I say a positive with my Chiefs is we've been able to stop the run pretty good. I mean, I'm kind of concerned. Like our secondary still needs work, but I mean, last week was we made a couple interceptions on Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson, when he just stands there in the pocket, he just likes to throw it out, and like it's pretty. We had it pretty easy with Russell Wilson these past few seasons. These past few seasons here, and also our special teams. Harrison Butker missing extra points, missing kicks, like that's crucial. That could come, like that could be crucial down towards the end of the game. So Harrison Butker, I want him to pick up his production as well, because like usually he doesn't miss kicks. He doesn't miss them. So I don't know. It's like last week was just it was just atrocious to watch Harrison Butker. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting too. Like, I feel like it's just been kind of a snowball effect. I feel like the kind of like you said with Travis Kelsey having that potential touchdown, and then that was that a pick six? Did it end up being a
Yeah,
pick six? I
no,
know it
that
was a
was
big
a pick
return.
six. No, it was for a big return. I don't know how many yards he returned it back for, but it was not a pick six.
Yeah, I feel like Travis Kelsey hasn't looked like himself. Honestly, the last two seasons,
To be
really,
honest,
last year
I
wasn't
think
good.
Travis Kelsey should have retired after last season, but I understand he wants to try to get one more ring, and I mean he is getting a ring, but it's not the one I really want.
That's funny. But yeah, and y'all saw the injury report on your screen. I'll pull it back up for you guys so we can just take a look at it real quick. But yeah, I mean, you know, not we don't really have a lot of game status for you all, which is probably good. Because I mean, when you look at it, like some of these injuries, it looks like they were full participants on Friday. So typically that means they're good, right? So that's probably good for the Chiefs in terms of the Ravens. Like I said before, you're missing Broderick Washington, you're missing Patrick Ricard, missing Metabike, all big things. But I think going into talking a little bit more about the preview of the game, let's talk about the kind of the keys to victory for each team. I think for me, when it comes to the Ravens, I think of course protect the ball. I don't even want to lead with that one, uh, so I'm not. But I'm gonna just throw it out there. Just Derrick Henry's got to get his confidence back in terms of some of these fumbles because that'll help him a lot. I think too. And I think sometimes when you find yourself in John Harbaugh's doghouse, you end up making decisions that don't really make sense. I've seen a lot of people talk about pulling Derrick Henry, benching him for a little bit or whatever it may be. I think you run with it. I really do. I think you continue to give him the ball. You continue to pound the rock, and continue to lean on your run game to open up the rest of everything else. Because the threat of not only Derrick Henry but Lamar Jackson in the offense when it comes to running the football just opens everybody up. It spreads the defense out completely, and I think that would be good, especially against the Steve Spagnuolo defense, because they played well. They've been that complementary defense that we talked about. We wanted the Ravens to be. I think we've seen in really the past two seasons, saying this season and this season, the season we've had so far, that defense is really well coached and really extremely disciplined. So they're not going to really let anything shift through. So I think the Ravens offensively in response to that just need to establish their run game first off, and then build off of it. Defensively, I think it's kind of the same like rinse and repeat that we've seen from everybody else. Honestly, they might have to like settle down on all the stunts and settle down on trying so hard to get pressure, and instead, I think they need to lean more into making sure Patrick Mahomes can't make the big play. Because I think like because of I think receiver wise, you guys are a lesser talented group than you have been in the past. But I think because of that, that means Patrick Mahomes has to make more plays. And I think if you can keep him in the pocket and not let him extend and let somebody screen open for a big play, I think that'll help too. And getting them off the field on third downs, because I think like the Chiefs, especially under Patrick Mahomes, with Patrick Mahomes under center, has been one of the best third down teams in terms of extending drives. And I think that's been on the other side of the ball for the Ravens. I think that's kind of been to the Ravens' detriment, is not being able to convert third downs with efficiency. So, what are you thinking? What are kind of your keys to victory for the Chiefs?
I'll say the keys to victory have to be, well, of course we need to stop the run for you guys. We need to stop the run with you guys. And I would say, getting our wide receivers involved. Like, listen, Tyquan Thornton. I'm happy we picked him up off the New England Patriots practice squad. I'm so happy we picked him up. Like, he's been making some pretty big catches these past few games. So I really like that. He's been our number one wide receiver. Ever since we lost Xavier Worthy, and also getting Xavier Worthy involved. Hopefully he'll have a decent game. And I gotta say, oh, I was thinking about who was it? Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown. We're gonna have to. He used to play for the Ravens, so he knows some scheme of things over there. So getting Hollywood Brown involved, is going to be very crucial for us. And also
sometimes I forget that he's on the Chiefs. I don't know what it is, but I just, for whatever reason, he just kind of slips under the radar sometimes.
yeah, I
Which
mean these, ever since we got me, because like he went down with that injury last year, in the preseason, so we didn't really get to see much of him. And he's just kind of been really quiet this season, like at the beginning of the season. But it'd be nice to get Hollywood Brown involved, and also maybe doing like these, you know, dink and dumps, or doing these little small plays, where we could get open down down
yeah,
the field and stuff. Doing these like check downs, getting those going, or getting some screens going, or something small, because like I said, Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't get it aired out like he used to. Like I said, we don't have that fast track star offense. So I would say, yeah, those are like the keys that for us to win the game. And also, I think a big key for you guys, is like DeAndre Hopkins.
yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, he's a former Chief. So
Mm-hmm.
he knows our offense. So keeping DeAndre Hopkins contained, I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a
And I
big
mean,
key for us.
he's been good. Like he's been one of the better like veteran wide receivers that the Ravens have brought in and actually gotten a lot of usage.
Mm-hmm.
I think going to kind of things to avoid. I wasn't gonna say this. I said I was gonna skip. I was gonna gloss over it, but I'm actually not. Like I'm not. I maybe I'm in a mood today. I don't know, but I think avoiding those turnovers, right? Avoiding those turnovers for the Ravens offense. And let me tell you why. It's not to put so much pressure on the Ravens offense. I think a lot of times, like we see Derrick Henry fumbles the ball and we're like, man, that's why they lost the game. That was the problem. You see, there hasn't been, Mars hasn't thrown any picks this year, but if there's an interception, you're like, man, that was the big play that kind of shifted the momentum, right? There's a big fumble. That's the big play that shifted the momentum. But when your defense is as bad as the Ravens is, when your defense is league worst, like the Ravens is, your offense has to be perfect. And that puts a lot of pressure on the offense to be perfect. But I think that's why, honestly, I think it will be even easier for the Ravens to really sit down and lean into the run game a little bit until this defense finds its way. You may have to go back to that time possession football that you played before, right? Well, you played time possession, you made you played efficiently in the pass game, and you make those plays, because I think that's part of the problem. I think the turnovers are like, if there's a list of things that the Ravens have to do, I think lessening turnovers is on the bottom, because the Ravens have done pretty well when it comes to turnovers. I think penalties could obviously be higher on that list than turnovers would be, but the Ravens almost have to play offensively a perfect game to win these games. I think that's part of the problem, because if you think about it, the Ravens are doing their thing. They're playing well. Even if you go back to last that last playoff game against the Bills, right? We can talk about those two Bills games in tandem, right? Once you start turning the football over and your defense is not stopping Josh Allen in that offense, in both games, it's very similar. When you start turning the football over, you're giving them more opportunities. And yes, that's unfortunate for the offense that they have to play completely perfect. But until this defense, until this defense steps up and is able to stop guys and able to get some turnovers themselves, and I know they've had a couple here and there, but until they're able to truly create pressure, to truly get some turnovers, the Ravens offense has to play perfect. They have to. I think they're going to have to avoid the mistakes. They got to avoid the mistakes, and they got to avoid, big plays. They got to avoid big plays on defense. I think that's going to be, two of the biggest keys that the Ravens want to avoid going into this game.
And also another key for my Chiefs, I would say, I don't want us to start out slow. We need to start out fast, because if we start out slow against the Ravens, because we know what the Ravens could do, how much points they could put up, so if we get behind on them, it's gonna be hard. it's going to be hard. But hey, listen, like it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with you guys having the worst defense right now. You know, that's secondary for you guys. So that makes me a little bit more comfortable. But like I said, I mean, our offensive production is going to need to step up because our third down conversions haven't been that great. And also when we get to the red zone, is just it really hasn't been there hasn't been much to be desired right now when we get into the red zone. It's been hard for us to score down there. So yeah, we're definitely going to need that's going to be that's a big key for us as well. But yeah.
What? So I'm horrible at this. I don't know why I keep bringing people on and asking for score predictions because I am the worst at score predictions and rankings. But nonetheless, I'm gonna do it anyway. What do you think? What's your score prediction for this game? How do you think it's gonna go?
Okay, so I've been going back and forth because I've been thinking, oh, maybe the Ravens are going to win this. But you know what? We're playing at home. We usually have your number here at Arrowhead. I mean, we even have it over at M&T Bank Stadium.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough.
It's been pretty rough these past few seasons. I mean, we still have your number until you throw us off. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a pretty close game. It's gonna be it's gonna be a shootout game. I think it's gonna be the Chiefs win 27-24. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty close game.
I'm thinking I'm leaning towards that way too, but I'm gonna go 31-28 in favor of the Ravens. Right, because I think the Ravens are still gonna struggle to stop the Chiefs, especially on third down. Even with what seemed to be elite defenses, they couldn't stop the Chiefs. So now the defense is even worse. But I think this offense is gonna get going. I don't know, 31. That's a lot of points against the Chiefs defense specifically, because I know the Chiefs defense is tough. See, I told you I was bad at this, and here I go trying to do this. I'm gonna go with it. 31-28 for the Ravens. That's what I'm going with. I think it's gonna be tough to score 31 points on the Chiefs, but I'm also leaning towards the fact that I think the Ravens can score, but I think the Ravens will get scored on. So I don't think the defense gets better yet. Especially, let me go back and look one more time. Real quick. Especially, let me look at this defense. No Broderick Washington, no Namde Metabike. Calvin was questionable.
86 goes to 32-30 Chiefs.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that. I mean, I hope not. I mean, if the Ravens start,
you might not want to like that because listen, your team's starting out 1-3.
1-3. I mean that's tough. 1-3 for either one of these teams.
Yeah.
Is tough.
That's like kind of that's a big hill to climb for us to make the playoffs. And then especially being like I don't know, you guys are close to last in your division right now, or I think you guys are tied with the Browns right now, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, because we beat the Browns, so we'd have the tiebreaker over the Browns. And I don't think there hasn't been many. I think the only other team that's played a divisional game has been the Bengals. The Bengals and the Browns. I think they played each other. Which, the Bengals and their injury issues, that's a problem for them. I think, keeping pace with the division is probably more important right now than keeping the number one seed or anything like that.
My Chiefs, they need to keep pace with the division because them Chargers. Like,
Look.
and I said, at the beginning, like, before the season started, I said, listen, the Chargers are probably, well, I was actually saying more the Broncos were going to be a team to watch out for, but yeah, the Chargers. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes that were made in that first game, and then and it was international, and Travis Kelce. I mean, we just making a lot of crucial mistakes on defense. Like it was bad, and then that didn't help us to play the second week against reigning Super Bowl champions, the Eagles. Which the Eagles, I want to ask you a question. What are your thoughts on the tush push? You think the tush push should still be a thing in football, or what's your thoughts on it?
This is my thing about the tush push. I think, and I've seen, of course, the screenshots of being offsides, like lining up offsides and stuff like that, and offensively having that kind of advantage. I think that's when it becomes a problem. I think the fact that it's unstoppable is not a problem, because I think in the game of football, if you can't stop it, figure it out. Because the read option can be unstoppable, right? There's nothing you can do. It's an indefensible play, right? It's really up to that defensive end to play both ways pretty much. So I mean, I think it's fine as long as we don't get into an issue of lining up offsides all the time. Now maybe that's the argument, and I've only heard it as of late. So maybe that's the argument, is that the Eagles are lining up offsides and no one's saying anything, right? It's kind of like in basketball, guys are walking all over the place, but we don't call travels. So it's like, I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's one of those plays that's just completely unstoppable.
I mean, it's essentially, the QB sneak in a way. It's essentially the QB sneak, and it's also sometimes, it's hard to defend because you have the defense is on their heels, and like the offense, they're fully in control. Go like, okay, like when they're going to be snapping the ball, when they're going like that, like when they're doing all that, they have the defense on their heels there.
Yeah.
So it's just they're at a disadvantage. And also, another reason why I'm not a big fan of tush push is because it's hard to spot the ball. Because like, okay, exactly where do they go down at? Like where is the ball exactly being spotted at?
Yeah.
And also, I don't like it, when it's when it's against your team. You know what I mean? Like when your team is getting getting the tush push.
That's true.
On.
Yeah.
And is this unstoppable? But hey, I mean, it's working for the Eagles.
It is. Look, for 86 goes to comment down below. This is the hard part for me as a fan. I hate to see the Ravens lose enough for Harbus to get fired. But the problem is the Ravens are probably the worst type of bubble team right now, right? Like you have I think there's layers to being a bubble team. Yeah, you're a bubble team where you get a middle of the road pick, you never make the playoffs, and you never get over that hump. But I think the Ravens are in an even worse position, right? They're plays away, it feels like, from winning a Super Bowl. They're plays away from getting to the Super Bowl, at least. Maybe not winning a Super Bowl. I should probably mince my words on that one. But they're plays away from going to a Super Bowl, right? They're plays away from probably having multiple Super Bowls. But the Ravens would have to really just have a losing season. And I cannot have that on my Lamar Jackson legacy bingo card. Okay, I cannot have a losing season under Lamar Jackson. It cannot happen. I would be extremely frustrated. But Justin, I'm curious about if you want to do this. So, what do you think? Should we pick the rest of the games throughout the league just for fun, just to wrap up, or should we pick the games within the division? Within our divisions,
let's pick the rest of the games. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
We are coaches away from. Hey, look, I think you're right. I think the Ravens with a different coach, I think, are the dynasty that the Chiefs at least felt like they were for a little bit of time there. So, yes,
and also, I don't want my Chiefs, like see Patrick Mahomes have a losing season. Like, I do not want to see that. Seeing him missing out on a Super Bowl, like. I mean, usually these past few seasons. I mean, okay, so back in 2021, we lost the AFC champion. No, was it 2021? 2022. We lost the AFC championship game to the Bengals, which we should have won that, But it's like these past few seasons, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been missing the playoffs. I mean, or we get beat in the playoffs,
Well, but that's the thing. That's the difference between the Ravens and the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs aren't the Chiefs are. The Chiefs are maybe a couple of talented players away on offense from winning another Super Bowl. The Ravens, kind of like 86 Ghost said, and I'll bring it back up just so I don't take the credit for it. Coaches away. The Ravens are coaches away. And, I talked about this before, and I should probably do a deep dive into this a little bit more. But can the Ravens win another Super Bowl with John Harbaugh? And I'm getting more and more frustrated at the notion that the possibility isn't there. But the hard part is, and that's kind of like what I was saying before, the Ravens are the worst type of bubble team because you're right there, right? You're right there in terms of on the field. You make the playoffs every season. You're top 4 seed every single season, potential to be the number 1 seed, number 2 seed every single season, and you feel like when you watch the games, and of course us as Ravens fans, us as the flock, we know a little bit, we see a little bit more. But when you watch the games in terms of other people, you see you're a fumble away, right? You're a turnover away. You're a not slow start away from potentially being a dynasty, right? Potentially being a dynasty. Like that's the thing. And real quick, if we let Harbs go and keep McDonald, we are a 12+ win team. I agree with that. I think what Mike McDonald is doing in Seattle, he could multiply that with Baltimore. Now it's kind of one of those situations, kind of like, I think the justification for fans to want to fire John Harbaugh is different than the justification is for the team. Because for Steve Bisciotti, you got one of the biggest superstars at quarterback. You're making so much money as a team owner. You're competing every year. And maybe I'll look into that a little bit more, and see if I can do a little investigative journalism with that one. But look, for the rest of the games that we got, of course, we had Seattle at Arizona for Thursday night football. Did that go the way you thought it was going to go?
Yes, I did go. I had Seattle winning the game. But listen, I gotta say this: I do like them Thursday night jerseys for the Arizona Cardinals. They look pretty. They look pretty sick.
Oh yeah, they were cool. Yeah, that's like a new thing they're doing for like rivalries, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if it's only for white jerseys, because Seattle's jerseys were practically the same. So I'm curious if that's just like a white jersey thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I agree. I think that game went. Honestly, I thought Arizona would win, but I think I'm expecting more out of Arizona than I'm getting. So it. I don't want to say it went the way I thought it did, because honestly I thought Arizona was going to win, but I did expect it to be a close game, and it was. But it was honestly closer. I think the score was closer than the game appeared. But to the Sunday games, we got a 9:30 Ireland game, Minnesota at Pittsburgh.
You know what?
Minnesota. Carson Wentz. Is he? I don't know if he's playing this. I don't know if he's playing this week.
He is playing this week. Yeah. I don't know how long JJ McCarthy is going to be out for. Like, not too much. Like, don't know how long his injury is. So I'm going to go with, Minnesota's, they're actually looking pretty good. They beat up that terrible that Bengals team last week, which I know you're pretty happy about.
Oh yeah,
with the division. But yeah, I echo that. I say Minnesota wins as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and double down on that. Minnesota. I think they win too. I think Pittsburgh. I don't know. I think Pittsburgh is going to be very inconsistent. I think they're going to be up and down. I think they're going to be completely unpredictable. I don't think we're going to be able to predict what they're going to do week to week. We saw it in week 1, 4 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers, and then has kind of fizzled out a little bit over the past couple weeks. This could be one of those games where they play a little bit better. I think it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a roller coaster for Pittsburgh, I think. Washington at Atlanta.
I got Washington. Washington's going to be Atlanta. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Washington once again without Jaden Daniels this week. And honestly, I just don't think Atlanta's that good. I think Atlanta proved last week that they're not that good. And that's no offense to the Panthers, because I of course do love the Panthers, but I think Atlanta is they remind me a little bit of the Saints, right? In past years, not the Saints this year. The Saints in past year, all the talent in the world, but I just don't think they're going to put it together. So I'm going to go with Washington. I think regardless of who's playing at quarterback, and I'm blanking on who the Washington starting quarterback is this week. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. It's not Mac Jones. That's San Fran. I don't know. I'm blanking on it, but regardless, I think Washington wins this game, and probably by a lot. New Orleans at Buffalo.
Oh, this is an easy pick. But Buffalo wins, unfortunately.
New Orleans is going as quickly as they can, falling as quickly as they can into the number 1 overall pick. Yes, I think Buffalo wins this game. I'm still leaning on my idea that Buffalo is gonna fall off a cliff at some point. I just don't think it's gonna be against New Orleans. So I'm gonna go Buffalo. Cleveland at Detroit.
It's an easy pick. Detroit. Listen, I think they could be possible Super Bowl contenders. They could. The two teams right now that early on in the season, like a way too early Super Bowl. As I'm saying, Detroit and Buffalo right now. Those are the teams I'm kind of looking at right now. But that's just too early to say. But yeah, I got Detroit winning.
Okay. Yeah, I think Detroit wins this game too. I feel like honestly, I can see Cleveland competing. I just don't see them winning. It's going to be interesting to see how far Cleveland lets themselves fall before Shedeur Sanders is inserted. I mean, I know he's like the third or fourth string quarterback on the depth chart technically, but I mean they're just waiting. They're buying their time. To be honest, and honestly, I hope that Stefanski keeps his job. I really do, but I know like in these quarterback issue situations, this could be one of them. I think honestly, I think the Browns are more so missing like Nick Chubb and those guys more than anything, because when they were able to lean in on the run game and just be efficient passing the ball, I think that was better for them. I just don't think I don't know if I feel like Jerome Ford is the same type of back. So I don't. I'm gonna go Detroit, but I'm gonna put Detroit on upset alert though. But I am gonna go with Detroit for the record. Carolina at New England.
I'm gonna have to say New England wins. Yeah, no, I mean both teams aren't doing the hottest right now. Who is New England's quarterback right now?
Drake May.
Oh, Drake May, and then Carolina has
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say New England wins. Yeah.
Well, I hate to call me a homer here, but I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna go Carolina. I think, yeah, like you said, I think these two teams are about on par with each other right at this moment. But I think Carolina, no Xavier Legette again this week, which is an interesting situation within itself. Honestly, it's interesting because he's injured, but I wonder if he's been benched and they're not saying it to be nice, because I can't remember what happened. I think it was it Bryce that got injured? I think so. I think it was Bryce that got injured. And it was kind of like it wasn't a benching, but it's kind of like an unofficial type thing. So I'm curious if they've like semi benched him, and let him let him get back healthy, but just kind of like showing him that there's other guys on the roster that can do what he's doing. So, yeah, I'm going Carolina though. I think they find a way. I think they're starting to find their identity. So I think they're gonna win their second one in a row. The LA Chargers and the New York Giants. Jackson Dart. What you think? Jackson Dart coming out throwing the darts against the Chargers.
Nah, there ain't gonna be no darts against them Chargers here. Unfortunately, I would lose to go against my division and around my division and back to my division, between my division. But I'm going with the Chargers, unfortunately. Yeah,
okay.
The New York Giants are that's not good right now.
Do you think the Chargers are the best team in the division right now?
As of right now, yeah, I do.
Do you think it stays that way?
No, I don't think it stays that way. I do not. And I hope not. I'm being very hopeful here, but I hope it doesn't stay that way.
I think Jackson Dart comes out and he gives us a heck of a game, right? I think he's had a couple weeks to sit down, learn from Russell Wilson, learn what not to do from Russell Wilson.
Yeah, definitely learn what not to do from Russell Wilson.
And I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to play a heck of a game. And I think the Giants are going to upset the Chargers on this.
Hey, I hope it happens. I hope it happens. I hope the Chargers start to fall off here.
This is a fun one. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay.
Ooh, Baker Mayfield. Ooh, going up against Jalen Hurts. Ooh, this is a tough one. Oh, I really want to put the Eagles on upset alert. I really do. I really do. But I'm gonna say Philly though. I'm gonna say Philly. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going with Tampa. I think Tampa's played well. I think Tampa has shown time and time again that they can compete against high level teams. and they're going to win by hook or by crook. I think Tampa wins this game. I really do. I think it's gonna be a shootout. I can see this being a shootout type of a game. It's gonna be a really good game. I'm going Tampa. Okay. Tennessee at Houston. Speaking of teams that feel like they're about the same level.
I mean,
0-4 for Houston. Could you see it?
I can't really see it. To be honest, I can't see CJ Stroud and them losing 4 games in a row. Like, to be honest, they should have won that. Well, who did they play that one game? They played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They let them come back.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, that was terrible. Listen, this AFC South it's so wide open. It's so wide open because I don't think that. I mean, who knows? The Colts could win that division, but listen, it's any team could win that division at this point still. But I'm going to say that Houston wins. Yeah, Houston's going to win.
Okay. Oh, I think Tennessee gets the upset right here. I really do. I think Tennessee has made some plays here and there. Cam Ward has shown time and time again that he can make. He can definitely make the plays. I think they'll be interesting, especially next year. But I think I want to go with the upset, but I'm not gonna. I really want to go with the upset, but I just don't see the Texans falling off that bad. 0-4, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't by any means necessary. I think they win this game. I don't care if they got to win it by 9-3. They're going to win this game. So I'm going Houston. Speaking of, Indianapolis at the LA Rams.
Go Rams, go! The Rammy Hammies are gonna get the victory. Listen. I like me that Puka Nakua. He's on my fantasy team. I like watching him. Listen, I got the Rams here. I got the Rams winning.
Yeah, I think the Rams win too. I think the Rams are, way more talented than anybody ever give them credit for. And
they should have beat the Eagles last week.
Yeah.
Like, with that kick that they missed.
Yep.
Ooh, there at the end.
Craziness.
That was crazy.
Craziness. So yeah, I think the Rams get the win. I think Indy will play competitively, but I think the Rams will win. Jacksonville at San Francisco.
Go ahead and give me Drake. Wait, is it Drake May? No, sorry. No, Mac Jones, Mac Daddy Jones against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, I'm going with San Fran.
Okay. I'm going with Jacksonville. I think this is Jacksonville's time to turn the corner. Okay, I'm going Jacksonville. I gotta go with
Jacksonville and the AEW Jaguars.
Chicago at the Vegas Raiders.
Go ahead and give me Chicago. The Bears. The Bears are gonna win here. Yeah. Yep.
I feel like Vegas is confusing. Speaking of other teams in y'all's division, Vegas is confusing to me. Are they good? Are they not? Are they okay? I can't tell. I can't tell yet.
And then also you got Tom Brady. He's a co-owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, and then also, of course, he does those. Of course, he's on Fox as well for the Sunday games, which.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of things going like, okay, is he in, the other teams, like, is he figuring out what their scheme of things are? But yeah, I'm going with Chicago.
All right, Sunday Night Football, we got Green Bay at Dallas.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and go with Green Bay. Yeah, Green Bay is going to win. I don't trust them. Them Cowboys, I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't trust the Cowboys either. Okay, so I'm going with Green Bay. I think Green Bay, if they can get out of their way, is one of the top teams in the NFC. I'm going Green Bay on Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football, we got 2 games this week, which I still don't know if I like. But anyway, the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. That's an interesting game right there, honestly.
The fans get the wins. Listen. I don't want to see the Dolphins start out 0-4. And, they actually played pretty decent last week on Thursday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. It was a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. And the Jets, they just Just end the season for the Jets, man. Ugh, yikes. Yikes. But yeah, I gotta go with Miami to win here.
It's funny. Speaking of Miami, and speaking of Carolina, so basically, I saw this. It's funny. My dad, he's a Dolphins fan, and he was like, yeah, the Ravens are just as bad as the Dolphins. I'm like, oh, what? Right? Like it's like same thing with the Panthers, right? Like,
that's my dad said the same. Well, my dad goes like, "Hey, the Chiefs are as bad as the Dolphins."
well, that's the funny part though, because technically, record-wise, statistically, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Panthers are the same team. Technically. I don't know if you believe it. Feel free to let me know down below. But technically. And technically, one of these teams could be worse than the Panthers next week if the Panthers win.
This is true.
The realities of football are really getting to me right now. But anyway, look. In terms of the Jets in Miami, I think I don't know. This is a tough one. It's about as even of a matchup as you can get. I feel like. For some reason, I expect the Jets to just take a next step, and they're just not doing it. So because they're not doing it, I'm gonna go with Miami. I think Miami wins this game. I think this could go either way though. Like literally flip a coin. And if they play 3 straight weeks, it probably would go completely different, right? It probably would go completely different. Oh yes, I agree. I agree. That's exactly what I was like. Statistically, technically, right? Because yes, that is true. Because of course, the both the Ravens and the Chiefs have both played playoff caliber teams that we know are gonna that we know that both teams will probably see in January, whereas the Panthers haven't really. I mean, the poor Panthers, man. Anyway, and the Dolphins just. I mean, they played some playoff teams here and there, but the Dolphins. I mean, I think the other thing is neither the Ravens or the Chiefs have looked completely out of sorts and like barely even belonging in the league. Whereas I think some of these other teams. Miami has looked awful. Miami has looked like they were on a first class trip to the number 1 overall pick for a little bit there. So yes, I 86 of those. I definitely agree. Context does matter in these situations, but technically. But anyway, look, last Monday night game, we're gonna get up out of here. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. But it feels like the Dolphins can't really. They look so bad. I don't even know if they can beat anybody. I mean, I don't know. Consistently, right? I don't know if they can beat anybody consistently. Now, albeit they played well against the Bills, but we're also talking Thursday night football. There's some weirdness there, right? Like, yeah, I agree though. 86 goes. Bengals at the Denver Broncos. I think the Broncos going to bounce back and find their way this week because I think Cincinnati is awful. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, but I got the Broncos as well. Yeah,
it's gonna happen. It's got to happen, right? There's no Joe Burrow, right? I don't know how long Jake Browning is going to last. It'll be interesting to see if they trade for a QB though. I've seen a lot of people mention that possibly going to grab a Kirk Cousins. Maybe, keep yourself afloat until Joe Burrow can come back. We'll see. I don't know. Or do you just? It's kind of one of those. We know what the Bengals are. We know what the Bengals are without Joe Burrow, and it's not good. It's not good. Never been good. Not never going to be good. We know that what they are with Joe Burrow, not good. Not going to be good. Never going to be good. But anyway, look, we know what the Bengals are, but they have a better chance with Joe Burrow, and they would have a better chance with someone that's not named Jake Browning at QB. But that's just me. But anyway, look, let's get on up out of here. Justin, I appreciate you coming by as always. Be sure to shout yourself out real quick before we get up out of here. And if you're watching on his channel and this seems weird, ignore that. Ignore it. Okay, it's where you are. But if you are watching on his channel and it does seem weird, be sure to come over to the Be More Show and come hang out with us as well. Hit that subscribe button over there too. As always.
Yes, the Be More Show will be linked in my description below. Yeah, definitely go subscribe. Go show my boy DJ some love. With his Ravens podcast. And also, if this is your first time ever checking out my channel, definitely go subscribe to the Juggernaut Show. I make a lot of wrestling content on there. I also do my For the Kingdom podcast, which I talk all about the Chiefs. I do previews for the Chiefs each week. I do post game shows. I do breaking news. So I do a lot of stuff for my Kansas City Chiefs. So if you definitely go subscribe. You don't want to miss out. And we possibly might do a post game show together. On Sunday evening, maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Definitely see. Depends on
Yeah,
how bad I'm feeling
subscribe.
after the game.
Yeah, who knows? Depending. I might give him a call like, "Hey, the Chiefs got the win again. We still own you guys." I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens.
But and if we don't get to do it on Sunday because it's my anniversary and I'm
Oh yeah. You don't want to be in the doghouse. You don't want to be in the doghouse.
It's my anniversary, so if we don't get to do it Sunday, we'll definitely link up on Monday and definitely do a post game. But look, definitely hope you guys enjoyed the show. As always, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Share this video with all your friends, all your family, all your cousins, and your aunties. But look, we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. Shout out to Justin for hanging out with us. Shout out to 86 Ghosts, as always, for hanging out with us, giving us all these great comments so we can talk about it. I appreciate it. Look, I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More